President Mahinda Rajapaksa says that Sri Lanka recorded its highest level of economic growth since independence last year. The President made this statement today at an event held to mark the release of the 2011 annual report of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka.
The release of the 2011 annual report of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka was held today at the Central Bank Auditorium. The Governor of the Central Bank, Ajit Niwad Cabral, handed over Sinhalese, Tamil and English copies of the report to President Rajapaksa. We can clearly state that Sri Lanka recorded its highest level of growth since independence last year. The economy grew by over 8.3%. I think the boom in every sector contributed to this growth. As the government, our attention has been drawn towards finding out if this growth has filtered down to the common man. It is our responsibility to ensure that the common man too reaps the benefits of economic growth. The President also said that the government is dedicated towards ensuring that the peace that has been won is a permanent peace. We have created a strong platform for a prosperous future. At a time like this, the responsibility of the international community is to support us and not weaken us. Like the promise we gave to defeat terrorism, we have not forgotten the promise made in the Mahinda Chintanaya to make Sri Lanka the wonder of Asia.
A 15-member Indian parliamentary delegation will arrive in Sri Lanka on the 16th of this month on an official visit. Indian media reports said that the aim of the visit is to look into the progress of projects undertaken by the Indian government for the benefit of Tamil people in Sri Lanka.
Speaking to News First, Tamil Nadu parliamentarian TKS Elangovan of the Dravida Munnetra Kalagam or DMK said 7 parliamentarians from Tamil Nadu would be part of the delegation visiting Sri Lanka. Another aim of our visit is to look into the progress of development projects. 7 parliamentarians from here will be visiting the country. I too am a member of this delegation. The delegation comprises of representatives from 4 parties, including the Congress party. The delegation will be headed by opposition leader Sushma Swaraj. The Indian parliamentary delegation, which will visit the northern and eastern areas of the island, is also hoping to meet the people in these areas. We hope to speak with the people of the north and east on how the projects undertaken by the Indian government are being implemented. Also, we want to look into the current issues being faced by the Tamil population in the country. We also wish to look into their safety and security. We will also make this an opportunity to provide relief to the Tamil people who have been affected in various ways. We have also planned to point out to the Indian and Sri Lankan governments that they must affirm their responsibility towards the security of the people in the north and east. We have not arrived at a decision regarding our program in Sri Lanka. We will finalize this at a meeting prior to departure to Sri Lanka.
Former President Chandrika Kumaratunga says that Sri Lanka has a marvelous opportunity to heal and reconcile its people after 25 years of war. She expressed this view at the inaugural conference of the South Asia Policy and Research Institute that was founded by her in New Delhi.
The Hindustan Times reported that former President Chandrika Kumaratunga had noted that opportunities to reconcile populations do not last forever. The former president also stated that the end of the war has seen some repair work accomplished, but still more needs to be done in terms of physical reconstruction and rehabilitation. She pointed out that although there was consensus up to a certain extent within her government on political devolution, those measures were not implemented by the present government. Former President Chandrika Kumaratunga denied that she backed the opposition candidate at the last presidential election, General Sarath Fonseca, since she is still a patron and member of her former party. But since she did not support certain policies of the government, she said that she decided to stay out of the campaign altogether. She had also said that the Tamil minority wants their rights, but only a minority of them still talk of a homeland. The former president also stated that her government was more focused on practicing non-alignment when it came to foreign policy. She stated that this step was taken to maintain good relations with the entire world. However, she noted that ties with India were crucial. But as India voted in favor of the US resolution at the UNHRC, the former president stated that certain things may have changed, but she was unaware of them.
Let's now take a look at today's newspaper cartoon of the day, selected from amongst English newspapers.
over phone. The Indian government has requested urgent investigations into the destruction caused to the statue of Mahatma Gandhi and 3 other statues in the Batticaloa town. Indian newspaper The Hindu reported that the request had been made from the Secretary to the Ministry of External Affairs via the Indian High Commissioner in Sri Lanka.
Indian High Commissioner to Sri Lanka, Ashok K. Kanta, had spoken to the Secretary to the Ministry of External Affairs, K. Amanugama, regarding the incident and had requested that measures be taken to construct the damaged statues. According to the Hindu newspaper, the Indian High Commissioner had also taken up the issue with the Chief Minister of the Eastern Province and the Inspector General of Police. The statues of Mahatma Gandhi, Lord Baden-Powell, the founder of the Scout movement, as well as statues of Tamil literates such as Vipulanandar Sami and Periyathambi Pillai were destroyed recently. The police stated that the statues of Mahatma Gandhi, Vipulanandar Sami and Periyathambi Pillai have been reconstructed and the statue of the founder of the Scout movement, Lord Baden-Powell, was being restored. Meanwhile, police media spokesperson SP Adit Rohan has said that 3 police teams have been deployed to conduct investigations into the acts of vandalism.
The Civil Aviation Authority says that a Sri Lanka aircraft flying to Indonesia had to make an emergency landing at the Bandaranaike International Airport shortly after takeoff. The Director General of the authority, HMC Nimal City, stated that the emergency landing took place after smoke was detected in the cargo hold.
According to the Civil Aviation Authority, 204 people, including crew and passengers, had been on board when the incident took place. Director General of the Civil Aviation Authority stated that initial investigations had revealed that one of the baggage items had produced a smoke. He stated that the pilots took measures to land the plane after the automatic smoke alarm went off. The Director General also stated that a special inquiry was being conducted by the Civil Aviation Department into the incident. Meanwhile, issuing a media release, Sri Lanka stated that the flight returned to Katunayaka as a precautionary measure following a smoke alert in the cockpit. The release goes on to say that preliminary investigations have revealed no indication of smoke in the cargo area and that it was a false alarm.
The Central Bank of Sri Lanka revealed today that Sri Lanka's economic growth for the year 2011 is the highest recorded since independence. Now, Sri Lanka recorded an economic growth rate of 8.3% last year. Incidentally, this is the first time that Sri Lanka has sustained economic growth above 8% over 2 consecutive years.
While the Sri Lankan economy grew by 8.3% last year, its key drivers also recorded growth momentum. The agriculture sector grew by 1.5%, the industry sector grew by 10.3%, while the services sector recorded growth of 8.6%. The per capita income grew from $2,400 in 2010 to $2,836 in 2011. According to the central bank, inflation stood at 6.7% last year, while the unemployment rate was at 4.2%. Export income stood at $10.6 billion, while import expenditure stood at 20.4 billion rupees. Thereby, the trade deficit in the year 2011 rose to $9.7 billion, which is 16.4% of the country's GDP. Over 850,000 tourists visited Sri Lanka last year, generating an income of $830 million. Sri Lanka was able to obtain 5.1 billion rupees through foreign employment in 2011. The CBSL notes that Sri Lanka's foreign direct investment exceeded 1 billion for the first time in 2011. The central bank, however, notes that there has been a slight drop in government revenue last year compared to 2010. Incidentally, the budget deficit last year stood at 6.9% of GDP, which is somewhat higher than the targeted figure. Sri Lanka's government debt last year accounted for around 78.5% of GDP. Incidentally, this is the lowest figure in 30 years. Meanwhile, the losses suffered by key government institutions such as the CEB, CPC, SLTB, the Department of Railways, as well as Aviation and Postal Services increased in 2011. The CBE suffered an operational loss of 25.5 billion rupees in 2011, while the CPC suffered an operational loss of 94 billion rupees. The SLTB and Department of Railways suffered operational losses of 3.8 billion and 4.1 billion rupees respectively. Sri Lankan Airlines suffered an operational loss of 19.1 billion rupees, while Mihin Lanka's operational loss stood at 455 million rupees.
For the first time in the history in Sri Lankan economy, 2 years, we recorded over 8% of economic growth. Other than that, the Sri Lankan economy recorded quite a few milestones. You see, many aspects of the overall economy performed as expected by the policymakers.
One person was killed in an explosion that took place in the Makumbura area in Homagama this morning. Police media spokesperson SP Ajit Rohana stated that suspicions have arisen that the incident was suicide. Nihal Basnayaka, resident of Makumbura in Kotta, was killed in an explosion that took place at around 5:30 this morning. 59-year-old Basnayaka was a father of 2. Our correspondent stated that his wife had passed away around 8 years ago. Basnayaka was residing with his sister's family at the time of his demise.